Hey,
Okay,
I'd like to call this meeting of the Ocean Highway and Port Authority together for July 27th, 2023 at 3 o'clock. If you'll please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity to be together this afternoon. We ask that you guide and direct everything that we do so that all that we do will be acceptable to you and to the benefit of our citizens and OPA. Father, we ask special blessing on our military men and women, our first responders. Protect them as they protect us. All these things we ask in Christ's holy name. Amen. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Cole,
Here.
Commissioner Nelson,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Hill. Here. Chairman Fullwood.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to thank you all for making the time to be here today. Patrick always blocks the second and fourth Wednesday to be at our meetings, but because this is not our regular meeting date, he cannot be here today because he has other obligations. However, he has sent someone to represent us if we need his advice. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Zach Brown. And I will ask Zach to introduce himself and give us a brief description of himself and his qualifications.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been working at Balch & Bingham, the same firm as Patrick, for just over a year now. My primary areas of practice are real estate, land use, and real estate financing. Patrick will use me for his backup and assistance he needs on land use and local government matters. So he has asked me to fill in for him here today. So if there is any questions that you normally would ask Patrick, feel free to ask me. And if I don't have, I may not have Patrick's expertise, but I will advise best as possible. And if there is something that is dire, we will just give Patrick a call and see what he has to say about it. So thank you. Thanks for having me here, and looking forward to the meeting.
Thank you, Zach. Hopefully you'll come back and see us sometime.
Sure.
All right. We discussed at our previous meeting, the process we would use to choose the broker that we wanted to represent us in the sale of our properties. After thinking about it and discussing it with Patrick and David, I personally felt it was not the best process to use. Today, we'll look at each candidate, evaluate the resumes of each candidate, and identify the top 2 or 3 that we wish to invite to our August regular meeting, if that's the way we want to do it, or final interviews and ultimate selection. Or if we feel like we can make that decision today, which I don't think we can do because we don't have everybody here today, and it wouldn't be fair to everybody. So some of the respondents are here today and others are watching. And as we look at the resumes, if anyone has any questions for each one that we look at, we will call them up and allow them to speak and answer questions for us if we have it. Any comments before we start?
So is that just, is it like an interview or is it public comment?
No, if we have any questions about their resumes and what they offer us, I'm going to allow them to come up and answer a question, but I don't know if we should.
Mr. Chairman, just one comment. If we identify the top 2 or 3 today, then that's going to require a decision by the board, and we're going to have to open the public comment in order to make that decision. I just want everyone to be aware.
Yeah, we probably will not do that today. I don't think everybody, but I'm going to leave that up to the all board, and we'll hear from everybody before it's over with.
I
right
think you
now-
say we have to decide now what their goal of the meeting is, because that will determine whether.
All
we
right,
have
well,
to-
let's talk about it and decide. How you feel? What do you want to do?
Does that include shortlisting?
Shortlisting would be a decision which would require we have public comment.
All right, what's your pleasure?
I mean, can we use this session as a familiarization with their background, what they've done, what they're capable of doing, just as a general information? Because I think it would go a long way understanding their expertise and giving us some thought processes to go through on who we want.
What do you think about not narrowing it down today and just get all the information out there from their presentation that they sent us. Call them all back to our next meeting. Give them an opportunity, say 5 minutes to speak, and us ask any additional questions we may want to ask, and then either narrow it down at that meeting or vote on the candidate we want.
I think the information that we can gather here today will help us in making a correct and proper decision at our next meeting. That way, if we have any questions, we can surely forward them back to the attorney for clarification,
Okay,
and we go that route.
anybody else? Marion?
I'm glad that you didn't want to make a decision today because
Right.
I felt that it was rushed, so.
Yeah.
That's good.
I agree. Okay, I'm gonna open it up to public comment from those beside our applicants. Do we have any?
None.
Okay, very good. All right, well, let's move on, Rosanna, if you'll start with the presentations, put them up on the board. And we'll go through those and go from there.
This is in order as I received the proposals. So the first one that came in is Cabana Lane.
Mr. Hillman is not here. And he gives a lot of good information about himself and his business. And the background and qualifications, you want to keep scrolling down?
He is watching.
Yeah, good. Did you have his video that he submitted? Loaded in, you have it?
I did not receive a video. One moment. Let me confirm that.
I think it was the same email that was, yeah.
No,
Okay.
I do not, I was not in receipt of a video.
I thought it came as his,
To the Dropbox.
Is it?
yeah, it should be.
Is it embedded in his proposal?
I thought it was, yeah.
Commissioner Taylor, do you know what page?
It is. So in the Dropbox, under his name, we have appendix 1. Gmail commercial real estate RFP explanation, and you have Gmail commercial real estate RFP.
Mhm.
It's in that second Gmail.
Sorry, I do not have it up.
Well, I'm sure everybody's seen it. It's a good video. Tells us about him and.
Yeah, but I do not have. If you want me to upload it on the thumb drive, I need 5 minutes.
Go ahead, and we can discuss any other thing. About it. He gives us the background qualifications. And what is the? Broker's opinion of the value of those lots. That's number 3. If I see that. Father, her was trying to down right there. But accordingly, it says lot A, or lot one. Statement of value. I think those lots are subdivided into. Lot A, is subdivided into 3 different lots. Lot B is 2 lots, lot C is 2 lots. It gives the value of each of those parcels. And a total, of lot A is 885,000. Lot B, 645. Lot C, 750, for a grand total of $2,280,000 for all 3 lots. I think there's a lot that depends on that, whether he sells it all as one lot or divides it. I just don't know how he would do that, or they would do that. Any questions?
What was that total again? 2.2.
2.280. And that's his opinion. I'm sure it's not an appraisal, but didn't say he had an appraisal. No, that didn't require appraisal.
We had to ask as part of the RFP, the services to be provided would be a broker opinion of value.
Yeah.
Some of the respondents did provide it as part of the response, so it was not required as part of the response. So indicated that either ability to do it or not.
Get it?
Yeah.
He gives some examples of other properties in the area. And the size of the lots that we're gonna sell. And how they can be divided.
I'm still waiting for it to go on
Okay. You scroll down, waiting.
there. What page?
I don't know what page it is. Keep going, till I tell you to stop.
She has the
Right there,
proposals.
right there.
Yeah.
Those are the values that he says. He thinks the lots, or what he thinks the lots are worth. What I just discussed with you. When A is the north, I think the northeast corner
A is the
on Dade and
southeast corner. South,
south.
southeast. And
Yeah,
then
you're right.
D is
Southeast.
northeast, and then C is up by the Blue House.
Yeah.
Essentially, what he's done is each of those A, B, and C, as I mentioned previously, have multiple underlying lots of record, about 45 by 100 foot
Right.
lots. And so his recommendation in this was to combine 2 or more lots into a parcel that would be sold independently.
Mhm. Any question about that? You want to go on down with that?
It's still done.
Okay. Market analysis. Okay. Talks about Old Town, the lots there. Those are the parcels, hold up right there. That's parcel A, which is the lot, the southeast corner, Dade and 3rd Street. And it can be divided into three different lots, 50-foot lots. But, you know, whether that's eventually what will happen, we don't know yet. Got a comment? Okay, anybody? Hold it right there, go back. All right, let's see. Gives the size of the buildings you could put on it if you didn't divide it, if you just kept it 3 lots. All right, next one. Hold it right there. Parcel B, which is across the street from the Customs House. You can divide. If you did 2 lots, 75-foot and 50-foot, by 100. That's the assessed value of them. All right, next one. Parcel 3, that's up by the blue house. Go ahead. I guess there's 2 different ways you can divide that. I'm not sure what that is there.
One shows the lot, the other shows the building footprint.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. All right, go ahead. All right, here's the compensation that he proposed. That he would have a commission rate of 2%. The million-dollar market tends to see real estate brokerage services 2.5% to 3% rate. However, this rate is negotiable depending on size and complexity, what we are selling, et cetera, in the case of this project. And when we work with government or nonprofits, we are pleased to offer a commission of 2%. I think that's a pretty good rate.
Well, Mr. Chairman, question, so looking at some of the other proposals and typically real estate, you're looking at 6%.
Yeah.
Right, or even 5%, so I know 6%, there's going to co-op and allow another broker to bring a buyer. In this case, I'm not seeing anything mentioned there, is he not opening it up for another broker to bring him to the buyer, or is he just looking to? And I know the questions that he's not here to answer right now, but
I could tell you that's a question we need to ask, at the next meeting. Yeah. I think some of the other proposals had that question answered.
yeah, there was 6%, and then a lot of them were 6% or 5%. They were sold.
Maybe just talking about his split.
I think that's all.
Yeah.
If he sold it alone, it'd be 2%. If he sold it with a co-op and broker, it would be 5%.
Right, I just don't see it in here, so
Right.
that's why, you know.
Right,
I
right.
talked about it, some of the.
Yeah, no, it was not.
Okay. Go ahead. A lot of information there about other parcels. Hold it right there. Kind of how he thinks we can design those parcels, or they could be designed, entrances, building design. One thing the buyer has to take in consideration of where those lots are, the traffic that they're gonna have to deal with. On there. Okay, keep going. Y'all have any questions? Stop us. There's his conclusion, hold it right there. Well. Right. All right,
And his video is not coming out.
okay, don't worry about it.
Sorry.
Maybe we can get it by next meeting. All right, what's next? Who's next?
Yes. We're the second one to submit.
Is there a representative here for them?
No, sir.
Okay,
They may be watching as well.
all right. Questions about any of these? Whether it's the proposal for compensation. Or what? %. 12-month listing agreement at 6% listing commission upon sale. All right, any questions about that? Does he give a design of the parcels? No, no design, okay. And is this the opinion of value here? Yeah. I think. Okay. Well, let's see if it's summarized somewhere. Hold up right there. What's that? No, it's not. No, that's not it. Sure.
And just comps.
Word from the premium value.
Just tell me the page.
There it is, next lower down, that's it there, right there, hold up. Not a lot of difference. Yeah, we can listen. So there. I think they're worth $1 million less than what first one. Any questions? Okay. What we got next? Go on through. Unless anybody's got any questions about this. All right.
Next is Amelia Coastal Realty.
And that's Mr. Griffin. He is here. Hold it right there. What is that? It's compensation. 6% of the sale price paid at closing. If sold with outside co-op broker. If sold with outside co-op broker. 5% of the sale price if sold in-house. 25% of buyer forfeited bonder deposit. $1,000 fee if client terminates listing agreement early for no cause. Okay. Any questions about that? Next page.
That's it.
That it? All right, any questions? Griffin is here if you want to ask him any questions. All right. No
Next
question?
one is Mr. John Stack.
Yeah, he's here. Here's the compensation for Mr. Stack. Hard to read, but let's see. 5% of the sale price. If he's a sole broker and 6% of co-op. Commission is split 3% to each. Broker's opinion, that, hold up. Broker's opinion and value would be $1,000 if no sale results. I'm not sure what that means.
That means if you enter into a listing agreement with
Ah.
this broker and you don't sell the
Gotcha.
property, you'll owe him 1,000.
That's all right. Does he have value of property?
No, you're not.
No, okay. All right. Any questions?
So can we come up with a, what is it, 5%? There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 5 to 3.
He's a sole broker. Now, whose job is it to determine if he's a sole broker or not? Is that ours or his?
The broker on the other side will be someone associated with whatever his brokerage is, which I think in this case, Amelia Island Realty. And if that's the case, then under the listing agreement that you enter into with the broker, that percentage will be set. So whenever you go to close, the percentage will be that 5% split evenly between buyer and seller rather than 6%.
Okay,
Mr. Stack, is that correct?
What was that?
Mr. Stack, sorry, wrong one.
You're saying about the 6%? Yeah.
That's correct, right?
Otherwise, it's 5% if it's in. No,
If it's another broker in your firm that brings the buyer, then it's,
I'm the only broker with the firm, so.
well,
yeah.
if you bring them then.
okay, any questions? All right, next.
Keller Williams, Mr. Goodwin.
If I could say something before we start, is that possible?
It's up to the board.
Is that okay with everybody? I guess it depends on what you want to say.
Well, what I want to say is I want to introduce myself and thank all of you for taking the time to put this RFP process out there. I want to rest assured each and every one of you that I am not a sole entity from Keller Williams. You might notice it's Keller Williams Commercial and Residential Real Estate. Tracy Bendig is my partner on this. She has been 32 years in the industry, solely on Amelia Island. She has been recognized internally and nationally within our Keller Williams group. Opinion of value as we sit here is subjective. As we know, markets change on a daily basis based on interest rates, design. Is it going to be a design build type of situation that the commission then is not just land, this design, construction, build? How is that being compensated here by the commission, by the commission, I'm sorry, within the group? I am not a local player, but I can guarantee you one thing, they're gonna throw my bones off of Fort Clinch when I die, because I'm not moving. I moved down to this area based upon a 08 Annapolis grad. That would be my daughter. She still serves Naval Air Station Jacks. She is a commanding officer. My son-in-law is also commanding officer of a squadron down there. I have 3 grandkids here. I have 2 grandkids up in Philly. And a daughter soon to be married in Denver. I enjoy all areas. This is my home. I lived in Illinois, Arlington Heights, Illinois, in 1902 bungalow, second owners. 1933 Sears Roebuck House. These were in the historical district of Arlington Heights, Illinois. This is important to the community. It's important to the economic driver that you bring to the table. It's a true public-private type of project that can benefit all. Is it simply going to be a Band-Aid of selling 3 different parcels to the highest bidder? Or is it going to try to do something more beneficial for all that are at the table? Now, it's just the brokers. We have a commissioner from the city here today, and ourselves. So the question is, how is this going to be looked at? Tracy can do a wang bang job. That's the word you want to use, as far as coming up with a reasonable, marketable opinion of value. I did not put an opinion of value on this. I did not put a compensation rate on this because it all depends on what are we trying to do. Is this solely an opinion of value to say, okay, if I do it myself, my firm does it myself, we're 5%. If we bring someone else in, we're trying to motivate everyone in the marketplace because we only have 600 some odd residential brokers in this area. This was a commercial RFP. Commercial, we have Marcus and Millichap here today. They are an investment group. Okay. Typically investment, multifamily, and also industrial, office, land, and the sites. It's a pleasure to be here today with the likes of Marcus and Millichap, John Stack, my good friend over here from ACR, Philip Griffin, to be in the same conversation with a outstanding development. Okay. Unfortunately, I use an old computer sometimes. And when I submitted this proposal, I was under the gun. I was working on 2 computers. Okay. I submitted something here today that actually came from your 2030 proposal from April of this year, 2022. It kind of supplemented what I have here. The supplement really is the port. I did a lot of work in Illinois. Unfortunately, it's not Florida. I did a lot of work down on the Illinois River. I have references from the Illinois River. I have references from the CSX. I didn't ever do anything with Norfolk Southern, but there's 6 Class 1 rail lines, 2 of which are located in the eastern seaboard. What's that?
He's not in your proposal.
That's in our supplement, the addendum. Okay,
I think we can't consider anything that was submitted.
I understand. I'm in
Yeah, well,
conversation.
It's the problem is it's a public process, and so we have to follow a very recommended.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
then what I am is I have a consultative approach using the methodology which money was spent on here to bring into the fact that this is not a simple sale of 3 pieces. That would be a Band-Aid. How can this corporation turn a better profit, use the existing infrastructure, relocate maybe some of it out to where the Norfolk Southern and the CSX combined to make a true intermodal? My knowledge, okay, which I can't write an encyclopedia here. You can't do an intermodal facility based upon the track rail length that you have at this facility.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, intermodal facility.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Intermodal is,
Spots that aren't very close to a railroad, I mean, what?
well, the 3 lots are the 3 lots. The question is this going to be a sale of 3 lots for somewhere, let's say $1 million to $2 million to provide that income as a stopgap? Or is there a methodology that can maximize the use of your existing infrastructure and the income that that can create? The port is, there isn't any more port that's going to be built.
No.
Okay, so the wharf line is not for sale today. I fully understand that, sir. But what is possible is to combine a true public-private entity to maximize the value of these sites so that the public can take a look at how can we maximize the benefit, not only to the port who would be hiring me, but also to the city and the community. Now, that's far beyond what this RFP was for,
Yeah.
and I recognize that, so I'll just be quiet now.
Okay. These lots are zoned, there was one that's zoned mixed use, the other two are residential.
Right.
And that's the way we're gonna sell them, and I don't know what other considerations.
I don't
we
think
have.
it's been determined, has it? I don't think we voted on that, have we? I
Voted.
decided, I don't think we determined we're going to sell them. Did we make that decision as a board? Did anybody vote on that?
That we're gonna sell them?
Did
What
we
the
take a
heck are we
vote that
doing?
we're gonna sell land?
Well, what are we doing here if we're not gonna sell
Did we take a vote that we're gonna sell
them?
land?
No, we haven't taken a vote to sell, but what are we doing? What are we gonna do with it?
Would you like me to reread the RFP to you?
No, I don't.
Okay, so
I
the
know what I said.
RFP is for evaluation of our real estate.
Okay, and hopefully at our next meeting, we'll vote to sell them. If we can get, depends on what price we can get for them, or what we can find out. All right? Mr. Stack, I will let you. Huh? Mr. Stack. Mr. Greenwald.
I'm Mr. Greenwald.
Mr. Stack, I'll let you speak if you want to speak too. I think we gave him an opportunity to do that. If you got anything you want to say.
Well, sure. Talking about the opportunity to do the evaluation of what the market value of the parcel is. It really is dependent on how it's going to be zoned, what it could be used for, and how that fits in with the neighborhood. I mean, you could really go with a high-rise commercial structure that, would generate quite a bit of income. But is that what the neighborhood, and is that what, you'd want for the interface with the community? So the highest and best use would really be influenced by what your goals are, what the zoning is, what's possible, and what the community reacts to. So it was a little more, I guess, expansive, and that's why your RFP was to kind of open it up to developing a value of the highest and best use. And the highest best use is to be determined. And I think that would involve some neighborhood input, as well as the government, Bernardina, and any other input that would involve like the TPO or what the cost would be to change it. Because maybe workforce housing would be the highest and best use for that property because of the impact that it would have on the community. But would it be the actual monetary highest and best use? I don't know. The highest and best use in Florida is normally a high-rise condominium where a lot of older people live and they don't use the school system. So that's not what we're really looking for. What would be the value of those parcels, if they were, actually zoned and set up for the contribution to the community. So that's my comments.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next, I'm sorry.
Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, I can't say
Oh,
much
I'm
more,
sorry.
Mr. Stack. Yeah, Phil Griffin with Million Coast
Yeah.
Realty. My opinion is very similar to Mr. Stack's. The highest and best use usually isn't attainable in Fernandina Beach because we've had a anti-growth movement. And so prior to putting it on the market and just letting the buyer beware, I would suggest that this be explored at length with the city planning and zoning and city commissioners to make sure that the neighborhood doesn't catch their hair on fire. So that whatever it is sold as doesn't become a political issue down the road. Fernandina Beach had a long history of political infighting over really nonsensical issues. And one of them is when you have a mix of land uses, industrial, multifamily, single family, historic. And so you have to be sensitive to the issue. And that's why I did not put a price on there, because I don't think you can ascertain the price until you know where it's going to be.
All right, what we got next?
Can I just finish? Possible, give me 1 minute. I'll be very succinct.
All right.
The RFP specifically states that it doesn't have to be an opinion of value. I would hope that we are not at Keller Williams in residential, commercial, eliminated because I did not put an opinion of value.
Yes.
We are the number 2 residential real estate company on the island, closely coming up on number 1. So if you want a volume dealer that knows what they're doing, Miss Fendick is your girl.
Okay. I know her very well. I've been friends with her for a long time. So I know her very well. Okay,
I do have a question for.
Yes, sir.
You don't list a actual percentage compensation, but can you give us a ballpark or what are you talking about?
Compensation in a residential type of deal, you want to get the broadest spectrum. If you put 4% down max, you're going to eliminate some of the vultures out there. Okay, I'll just say vultures, I would call worse. So you want to compensate, maybe it's 5%. The listing agent takes 2. And the cooperating broker has their 3, so they don't feel that they are shortchanged because I negotiated something with the owner that is less than market.
Can you give us a range that Keller Williams normally does?
Keller Williams
to the
typically does
six.
a 6% fee,
Okay.
based upon the amount of effort, it's based upon the market knowledge, based upon what we follow up with as far as internet marketing. You know what? I could say a bunch of things here.
That's good.
Everyone here
Yeah.
is extremely competent. You're not going to get shortchanged by any choice that you have here.
we just wanted an idea.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
it's just, and for our benefit, we just wanted an idea of what properties were worth, because we've never determined that, never figured that out, or never even thought about selling them up until recently. All right, let's move on to the next. Susanna,
Marcus and Millichap.
do we have a representative here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So my name is Edwin Brookman from Amelia Island. I've been with Marcus and Millichap since 2021. Part of that, I went to the University of Florida and graduated in August,
Sorry.
We won't hold it against.
right after COVID in 2020. And I've been at the firm since February 2021. Preceding that, I was a resident of Amelia Island, and Mr. Fullwood was actually my gym teacher.
Wait a minute, what's your name?
Edwin Brookman, I went by Wayne back in my younger days.
It's been a long time, man.
It has. So now I'm working in commercial real estate.
We want to have it eliminated right now. I'm kidding when I say that, please.
I'm only one vote, so.
So at Marcus Millichap, we are a nationwide firm. We are in every major MSA in the United States and Canada now. I work out of the Jacksonville office with my partner Simon, who unfortunately could not be here today because he's doing a property tour. But this is our primary response, talking about who we are and what we've done. We do have experience selling properties in Amelia Island and downtown Fernia Beach. Most recently, we sold a property at 25 South 3rd Street. There is a land development component on the rear of the parcel, and our buyer that we were able to connect with is planning on exercising his right to develop there as well. So if you scroll up a little bit, these are the properties our firm has sold in the Jacksonville MSA that involve land since August of 2020.
Okay.
And our proposed commission structure is 6% and a 6-month listing agreement. That 6% comprises our fee and a co-broker's fee in the event that they're involved in the transaction. We can discuss potentially negotiating, reducing that fee if we're the only people to sell the property.
Okay. All right, any questions?
So this is our standard broker's opinion of value template. I was able to take out my drone and get some of these photos. We could further refine the content if and when we decide to move forward, but the pictures you have seen were recently taken.
Yeah.
So this goes into our firm's experience. All we do is commercial real estate investment sales. We do not do property management or leasing. That enhances our ability to focus on solely investment sales. And by doing that, we communicate with property owners and potential owners of property throughout our day. And by doing this, we truly are entrenched in what we do. On that page right there, it describes the specializations of everyone, primarily myself and Simon Gregorian are focused in multi-tenant retail and land sales. And this just goes into our transaction volume by the numbers in 2022. So I want to dig into, this is my buy right here, which I already dug into, and then Simon's is behind mine. Our marketing process is unique depending on what the seller wants in every specific situation. For this, we want to get the most exposure potentially to just the widest range of pre-qualified buyers. And our marketing channels consist of CoStar and LoopNet, Rexy, and then marksimillichat.com, which is accessible by all agents within our network. And we have 2,000 nationwide in North America.
Okay.
And we will also, if and when we get the listing, it will be sent out to our proprietary database. I have 5,500 contacts myself. Simon has been with Mark Simillichat since 2015, so he's got me beat by about double. So right around 10,000. So if and when listing hits the market, all those emails will be sent out to our wide range of people who have shown interest in our listing previously. Right here, you see a breakdown of the 3 different parcels and the prices associated with each. Each does have a density of 8 developable units per acre. That is a significant consideration that needs to be taken into account with the highest and best use going forward. Obviously, people in the Fernie Beach area are resistant to substantial change, and the zoning likely is not something that can be altered going forward. So the buyer probably for this is going to be a builder or developer who would like to do townhomes or something similar, in our opinion.
Okay.
And our number that we arrived upon is $2,750,000. We were aggressive with this, but our promise to everyone is to not leave a single dollar on the table.
All right.
And then here we have some sales comparables that have recently happened that are in the Fernie Beach City, and they have similar zoning, and that was consideration that is evident in this proposal, and it will be scrutinized by potential buyers as far as the zoning with these parcels and what was done and will be done going forward. Right here, we can see the price per acre. We came out aggressively, like I previously stated, with the highest sales comp that we did find. Another thing I want to touch on is since 2022, internally in Mark Simillichat Florida's network, 50% of our buyers came from out of state. So by using the exposure that we generate, we are definitely getting the national reach. And typically a lot of those people are entering 1031 exchanges. We're selling a property and the debt environment has fluctuated substantially and everyone's looking for a margin return. And it's becoming less and less conductive to obtain a high margin with cost of debt. So we do want to work with someone who is heavily capitalized and they are able to obtain a significant amount of cash that they would be bringing to the table, and that would all be discussed in the pre-qualification process with the buyer that would potentially be submitting an offer. And this is the tail end, just going about the demographics, going over them in the area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, any questions? All right. I think we talked about it at the beginning of the meeting. Did we decide to have all of the proposers come at our next meeting? We will do. How do you want to do that? You want to give them 5 minutes at the meeting and answer any questions we may have after that? How do you want to have one?
Fair, I think having come and, we have all the information now and having
Right.
gone through these, I know we've gone through these before, but we've gone through these, now and hear from some of them, another opportunity.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to have them come back, all come back at the meeting.
August 9th.
August 9th, yeah.
If I may, I do though, I think we have there are a lot of great detailed presentations in here, and even some ideas on what can be done. I do want to draw attention to, I had some comments on that I was going to make that kind of goes in line with what Mr. Stack and Mr. Griffin said that, you gotta be sensitive to the issue, and this is right, I mean, we need to, what are we doing? What is our plan? Is it more important for us to sell these properties, make as much as we can, versus what will then happen to the property? They're gonna still be our neighbors, and they're gonna be neighbors of the community, so, we need to really think about the goals of the community, and, how we do that, start.
Certain restrictions on what can be built there.
I don't know if we can though. I mean, if it's, again, if it's zoned RS2, those are already
Right.
restricted. I mean, they're already in place. And so they're already, if they purchase it, they're allowed, it's private property rights, they're allowed to then build
Yeah.
whatever they can there.
What do you mean by that?
So I think that we need to find a way, we need to really think this through instead of jumping the gun at our next meeting and say, okay, we're gonna bring in, Realtor A, and you're gonna come in now, we're gonna sign an agreement with you, and we're gonna sell these properties. We really need to think about kind of our next steps. I mean, really, what is more important to us, selling the property, making as much as we can, or the impact on the community? Because how we handle this here, that's really gonna be an issue. So I think maybe this is just up for discussion, and it's more detailed discussions with the city, the community, and just trying to get an idea on those next steps.
City commissioner, which city Burnaby. Yeah, go ahead.
So my name is Chip Ross, 230 Street, and I'm not here representing the city commission. I am representing myself. I am representing the neighbors of the neighborhood, who I think all support what I'm about to say. And I've been a resident of that neighborhood for 12 years now. 3 times the zoning on this has been attempted to be changed, and 3 times it was defeated in the city commission. You may find it frivolous that some of us want to preserve the neighborhood, but it is best. Number 2, right now, the Tringali property is being where they did exactly what you're talking about here, which is taking lots and subdividing them. That is before the court system. So before you decide that you're going to subdivide all these lots, I think I might find out what happens in the Tringali property. Because what that is under the I think it's section 1.03 of the land development code, it says that you need to get a variance to do that. And we've not taken that into account. Number 2, you ask the residents there, you start putting townhomes in there. I don't know of any with the Tringali hearing, but you will see that all over again. I can almost guarantee it. People do not want families. They want single family development. Number 3, help you follow the model of your neighbor Westbrook, who bought out residential land and then used it as a buffer against the community. Because if you put in housing there, you will have complaints. Just putting it there. 2 of those lots are the busiest place where trucks are all the time. So you think you get phone calls now, you will get lots of calls. So I would hope we maintain the lots. There's also been a proposal to do something else with one of those other lots, use it in another agreement. So I would hope you, first of all, before you decide what you're going to do, you decide to sell these lots and why. And if you're going to do that at the next meeting, hopefully you'll give us enough advance, and I'll make sure that it's there. Okay.
Thank you. All right, that's part of the process that we're trying to work out here. How we're gonna approach all this, so we haven't made any decision. And he made a decision whether we're gonna sell the lots. So we'll take all that into consideration. Any other comments before? I'm gonna take a break here in a minute. Any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah.
Thank you for all of the respondents for coming today. This process, as you know, is really instructive for our board. And there is a huge value to receiving your resumes, your opinions of the neighborhood, your historical perspectives and market perspectives. So the prices you put forth, those of you that did, we appreciate that. And then the other information that the other respondents provided is very, very helpful. Our board has been going through a process of evaluating our properties for other uses. And we've looked at land at the port that could be utilized for other purposes that isn't currently being used for cargo handling. And these lots were identified by our executive director as being underutilized parcels, potentially, for other purposes. And what I was hoping we would be engaging in today was a discussion of potential uses of the property, the different choices that are before the board, and what each one of those decisions, the costs and benefits of those decisions. So I know we have an RFP process we're following, we're evaluating candidates. My personal opinion is that we shouldn't rush to engage with a particular firm at this point, because we're still in the information gathering phase, evaluating what land might be used for. We've seen a huge appreciation in property values in the city of Franklin, a huge appreciation. And the parcels that are less discussed, the ones on Dade Street, those parcels were acquired in 2003 and 2004 by our board. And I think 3 times, as Commissioner Ross pointed out, this board at the time came before the city trying to utilize that for parking. And it was never successful. But those parcels do have a benefit. They serve as a buffer. If there is a turning radius issue, if there's other issues in that area, it's less of an impact because those are vacant lots currently than if there was a historic structure which can be built, fairly close to the lot lines. The turning radius, radii, I'm not sure I pronounced it correctly, would be restricted. So there are benefits to having the land now. I understand buffers are not perceived as having a benefit, but they do have a benefit. Owning land in the city does give OPA additional leverage as a property owner. And if we did need land later, when we look at the appreciation that we've seen in these lots, if we had to buy land in the future, we wouldn't be able to afford it. So you have to consider the future case, the future commission making decisions and having less leverage than what we have now and less room to maneuver. And I'm of the opinion, this is a, higher level discussion, but I'm of the opinion that we should leave as many options for future boards as possible. And if we have other alternatives for revenue to keep ourselves where we are comfortable, then we need to look at those first.
Okay, any other comments? All right, I'm gonna take I want to thank all of you for being here also. This concludes this portion of what we're gonna discuss as far as your presentations, and we invite you all to come to our next meeting on September the 8th. Right? August 8th, I'm sorry, August the 8th and
August 9th.
9th. I'll get it right. And we'll send you information about what we need from you at that meeting and invite you all to be there. All right?
Just for a fact,
Yes.
one other thing, and then follow up.
Can we wait till after the break?
We're gonna talk more about this. Okay.
Okay, I'll take a 5-minute break. brings back to order. All right. Since we've identified an issue, I'd like to discuss it. There's seems to be some discussion about whether we want to sell those lots at all. I'd like your opinion.
Point of order, sir. This was not on a publicly noticed map. This is not on your agenda. It's not publicly
It
noticed.
has to do with the lots we're selling, doesn't it?
That's up to you.
I think a better discussion would be, is the request for proposal even necessary before the board, right?
But
The notice included was about the RFP, correct?
Real estate RFP candidates. That's
So
the
whether,
discussion.
I think a better discussion would be whether the RFP is even necessary for the port's future, whatever you guys want to do with those lots.
I don't think any commissioners are trying to vacate the RFP at this time. There has been, a lot of work put forth by all these respondents and we did issue the RFP in good faith and we wanted to see what response there would be and what interest there would be and how valid it was to consider doing something with these lots. And I think we've achieved a lot of that purpose, whether we move forward with a listing agreement, whether we proceed to engage a broker for real estate advisory services, which is what our RFP was actually for, and we pay for those services. That's a budgetary question. Can we afford to pay for real estate advisory services on the fees presented? So yes, I would like to talk about the responses, but I don't think anybody has made a motion or asked that we vacate the RFP. And I actually don't think, I think we would have to do that in the next meeting. I think we're just talking. Yeah, we're just discussing.
Madam Chair, just to follow up on Commissioner Hill's comment. She's absolutely right. The RFP was advertised as real estate advisory and brokerage services. And certainly my intent, and hopefully I communicated it well, was to have this commission select from those respondents, somebody that we would want to work with us as our advisor broker going forward to determine highest and best use, broker opinions of value, what the best marketing strategy might be as it related to any or all of those parcels. And so it would be my hope that the commission would consider the skills of the individual brokers to serve as our advisor as part of this team, knowing obviously that brokers get paid through commission, right? Whether we want to go out and hire a real estate consulting firm to do a highest and best use market analysis feasibility study, that's a whole other approach. But I think each of the respondents have that capability based on their own market knowledge to advise us as to how we might proceed from the real estate perspective. And that's what I'm looking for as much as the ability to sell the property is the ability to work with us to strategize on what the best way is to sell the property and for not only from a marketing advertising perspective, but from a strategy of what is it that we're marketing, what is it that we're selling.
Okay. So any comments about what we've done here today? As far as the RFP.
Personally, I think that what we've heard here today has probably answered a lot of questions I know that I had and how you would go to evaluate this property. And I also was reminded that we do have neighbors around the fort. And when I was elected, one of my commitments was to keep that line of communication with the local officials, the local mayor, the local commissioners. And I think if we're going to proceed with this, having a discussion with them openly might not be such a bad idea. And let them know what our intentions are moving forward. I don't think anybody's decided, no, we're not going to do this. I think it's all an open option right now. And as good stewards, we need to look at all of these options. And we need to seek out the best one for the situation and pursue that. I do appreciate everyone coming today and making your presentations. You did, without me even asking, answer some of the questions that I had. So now I will be better prepared for the next month's meeting when we delve into this a little bit deeper. And I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day and coming. It's an open book. It's an open table for discussion. And I plan on having further discussions with the board about this in our meetings. But I think as we go forward, we don't need to start funneling into that narrow-minded. This is the way it's going to be, and I'm not going to participate in anything else. That wouldn't be fair to the taxpayers. We have to be open-minded. We have to look at everything and make sure that we are doing the right things. As Commissioner Hill said, for future boards. I said that I wanted to leave a port authority when it's my time to go self-sustaining. And I intend to do that and work as hard for it as I can. So I think this is just one process that we need to go through in order to do that. So that's where I stand, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cole?
I'm no commenter at this point, really.
Yeah, I made my comments earlier. I just, what's the purpose of what we're doing? Just want to make sure that, we're being good stewards of the community and we're doing what's best and we're looking at the best interest of the community, not just, again, potential, money that we can be bringing in, from the sale, so.
Okay. Commissioner Hill?
I have nothing else.
All right. Anybody got anything else? Meeting adjourned.